In this one, we're going to have a look at something called query parameters, and I figured that the best way for me to explain this would be to just dive straight into the book, because there's a good example in there which we can use. Query parameters are extra bits of data which can be attached to a URL, and then in a PHP script you can read those bits of data from the URL and do stuff with them. So here's the example I was talking about. Here we have a URL, so https example.com page.php, and then after that we see this bit here. We see a question mark and then what looks to be a key and value pair, name equals Gary, and then we have another one, age equals 40, and that is separated from the previous one with an ampersand. And so that's how query parameters start and how they work. So you get the basic URL, and then after a question mark, if you see a question mark in the URL, after that they are the query parameters. So name equals Gary, ampersand, so they separate them with the ampersand, and then age equals 40. So let's have a go at hitting a URL which has query parameters, and we'll try and retrieve those values from the query parameters so we can do stuff with them. So in here, I think we're up to number 10 now. Let's just check that. Okay, number 10. So new folder. We'll call this 10. We'll call it query. So you'll often hear query params, so let's call it that. And then again inside of there, new PHP file, which we shall call query params. Okay, so I'm just going to stop my server and I'm going to CD into the right folder first. So we're now in 10 query params, and the way to retrieve query params, if you remember in the last one we saw something called the post superglobal. Well, in query params, if you want to retrieve query parameters, then we use the get superglobal. So post is for where you're dealing with a HTTP post method, get when you're dealing with a HTTP get method and you are retrieving query parameters from the URL. Okay, so let's check if there is a name query parameter which is set. So in PHP, here's another function called isset, and if you want to see if a key is set on a particular array, so again the get superglobal is actually an array. How do we get keys in an array? We use the square brackets followed by the name of the key. So here we're saying if there is a key set on this get superglobal array, we shall store that in a variable called name, and then we will simply echo hello name. If we don't have a name, if name is not set on the get superglobal, so the get superglobal will always exist when you send a get request, but it's the actual keys which you need to check which are set. So if that is not set, we will simply echo hello stranger instead. Okay, so let's go and start the server and let's visit this. In fact, what I'm going to do is, based on what I've just told you about how we retrieve query parameters, and let's go back to the book here. So here you can see the one for example.com. What I'm going to let you do is start this server yourself and actually visit a URL with the correct query parameter, with a name query parameter, and just set it to your name and just see if you can get this script to work and echo something out. Pause me now and give that a go. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We need to start the server. So this is going to take me to localhost, and then what I want is queryparams.php followed by question mark. So the first one is followed by question mark, and then we're going to say name is Gary. Okay, and there we see hello Gary. So what if we don't have a name query parameter? Then we see hello stranger. What if we have a query parameter but it is not name? For example, foo is bar. Well, we don't have a name key in there, so we should still see hello stranger. Okay, how did you get on with that? Hope you gave it a go. Make sure when you do the book that you try all of the challenges because they're followed up by the solution, so you can always, even if you don't get it right, you can check against your solution and have another go at it and you'll still get some extra learning.